Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is June 21st, 2019. My name is Lynn Marquidon, and I'm your host. Welcome. We have a good full show today, and here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover Clue 8 from the Freedom Mystery Quilt. It's the next to last clue. I hope that you have as much fun with it as I do. We're also going to talk about Aunt Anne's quilt repair. We're going to talk about the raffle quilt progress, some vintage postcards. There's knitting involved in those. We're going to talk about beads, and then we'll wrap up with a poem about freedom. Because again, this mystery quilt's theme has been freedom and what that means to you. So that's what we have planned. Grab your project and let's sew together here on the Simply Colorful FiberCast. It's June. It's summer. Yay, let's sew. This is the posy block in clue number 8. If anyone out there is not following the mystery or not doing it, please feel free to print off the patterns. They're all available on simplycolorful.com. They're free for now. They're free. And we've been having just a ball, and I just love everyone's progress that I've been seeing. Anne, I saw, has already done clue 8, and of course, Carol and KB and Allie and many of you out there are doing it, and it's just great to see. This is an easy one. We've done all the hard work. This is made out of 16 3.5-inch blocks, and we're going to make a couple of them tonight. You can see behind me, most of mine are done. Isn't that cool? What makes them more interesting, in my opinion, is that the neutrals, which we started out with, are made from pieces of neutral fabric, if we had it. In other cases, it's a full square. And then we snowballed them. Half of them are snowballed with the red and half are snowballed with the blue. Okay, so that's what we're making. Let me turn on my iron, and it's classic webbing. I have 2 blocks left to do. The red goes in the corners and in the center. And I'll show you what I mean by that. When you're laying them out, try to get as much variety as you can. Try not to put the same reds or neutrals together, and you will be just fine. Really, at this point, any combination works. This is definitely a scrappy quilt. I'm putting that there because these two were matched up. And again, the title of this quilt, each year we do one in the spring and the fall usually, has a theme or it has a name. One of the first ones we did was crocuses and daffodils because it was made out of purples and yellows. But this one, because it was going to be done during both Memorial Day and then finished up on the 4th of July here in America, that reminded me of freedom and our soldiers and what we are so honored to be able to do this thanks to them. I just thought patriotism, and I thought red, white, and blue. But as you'll see, lots of our quilters are doing it in different colors. So I have my stitch length on. I have it on my set on 2.0 on my Bernina. And here are my squares. Whoops, and there they go. I'm going to web them together. As always, so this is not a training tutorial, although we do teach each other things. Like last week, who reminded me? Was it Kathy? I think Kathy down in Florida reminded me of the value of leaders and enders when it comes to not getting your fabric stuck down into the hole of your machine, into your feed dogs. So I'm going to start with the leader here, and then I'm going to go right into my first square. And what a difference. That's even more valuable when I'm doing my triangles, of course. So I'm sewing this all first 2 rows together. I'm not cutting it. I love the little dainty flowers in this from fabric from 20, 30 years ago. Oh, and of course, I see that my bobbin thread is getting low. But let's see how far we can go with this. Okay. Oops, I should have done my ender, but I'll just cut this off and I'll start it again. See, here's my ender. Okay, so I have my first set of these. These are fun to do. And now, you know, all the hard work from all these 7 weeks is paying off because now we get to put it all together. Next week, I'll show you a couple of different versions of how to put it together. And of course, you're also free, thus our theme, you're free. I didn't plan that, but that was pretty good. You're free to put this together however you want. In fact, let's say you only got through clues 1 through, I think it's 4 or 5. You should have enough to put together a half-size quilt. Anyway, we'll talk about ideas for that next week on our final day of June, when I will have Josie, the dog, back. Her parents and brothers and sisters are going away, and so they've asked us to take care of Josie again. Josie's the little Yorkie poo that we've taken care of before. She's adorable. Oh, and I did it again. Jeez, guess I'm not very practiced at that. What I really should do is start, like Anne and Allie, I should have a whole box of secondary blocks to be sewing. What are you going to do with those mini, mini, mini half square triangles? You crack me up. What they did, for anyone who might not be watching, is, you know, on these snowballed squares that we've been making, they took the leftover corners here and are making more half square triangles out of that. Impressive. Okay, just need to make sure. Hey, who's there? Who's that? Karen Marinelli. I could do a half-size quilt, she says. Now is a fine time to tell me. See that? But you kept up, KB. And you know what? Your half-size quilt will not look like your full-size quilt. So, but what I'm saying is there may be an option. There is an option next week. Let's say you don't want to make one big quilt. I'm going to give you options for making 2 small quilts. So that's all I mean. But that's funny, KB. Oh, this is junk mail. It keeps calling me. It has my cell phone exchange. I saw something, on the news that the government here in America is going to let the big telcos somehow stop the robocalls, which that is still on my list of things to do. I thought I'd signed the do not call list, but it doesn't seem to be working on my phone. And maybe up until recently it wasn't available for cell phones. I don't know. Anyway, sorry about that phone call. And that's one of the few times I had my ringer on. I find more often than not I'm turning it off because I'm at a group or doing something and I turn it off. Okay, and here's this. Oh, this is good. I don't have any scissors here. Well, we won't need scissors. All we need is an iron. Our posy is coming together. So let me see who's out there. Again, send an email to lynn@simplycolorful.com and show us what you're working on, and I'll share it with everyone. Speaking of which, my mother, Judy, down on the vineyard, sent us a picture of what she was working on that I wanted to share. She sent so many things I wanted to share. First off is a quilt that I talked about that we made for our Aunt Anne, and it was blue and white. That's the quilt that needs repair. And that blue that now looks like very, very light blue, almost purple, used to be this dark navy pattern. And over the years, the sun has worn it down. So Mom went over to Aunt Anne's, retrieved the quilt that needed fixing, and check this out. And see how this fabric is light and faded like the rest of it? She actually had the darker fabric, and she bleached it. She actually took some of the color out. So good job. Oh, and she hand quilted around it. Mom, way to go. I love that. I love repairs. I love resurrecting these old quilts. In fact, Jean, if Jean is out there, Jean is the queen of rescuing vintage quilts. I shouldn't say old, vintage. Jean, if you're out there, I have a couple of quilts I want to give you because they are in my closet, and these lights always get very hot in the summer. And I don't know what to do with them, and I think that you would be a better custodian. One of them is that white on white whole cloth quilt that was done in, I think it's 1845. So anyway, Mom, great job. Highly encourage, if you find any old quilt tops, and I know some of you have, that you can rescue. You know, maybe they're at a garage sale or they're in a relative's attic. There are different philosophies or points of view on this, but I'm of the belief that 9 times out of 10, if you want to, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't have much value, frankly, other than sentimental value and value to you and your family. You can repair it, or you can put a second backing. You can use the machine quilting, in my opinion. I think it's a great way to add years to a quilt. And I've been doing some of that here in the studio, so keep that in mind. In fact, I just did one for Jean. I wonder if I have it here. Did I show you this last week? Ooh. How are we going to do this? Let's see. Yeah. I know it's a little one. Did I show you that last week? That was just a top that Jean had rescued. And of course, now I can't remember the name of it, but I was calling it Goose Tracks, but on better, more research, we found it had some other options. One was by, geez, and I think I put both of them down on your slip, I think. Oh, well. Just an example of rescuing a quilt top. And now put a new binding on that sheet. There were some loose pieces of thread. Jean just fixed it up. And now it is part of her collection. So there are 2. Now we'll do one more, and then I will cut away all of our webbing and spin as many of the seams as I can. So I'm curious, did people like this clue? Or are you sick of snowballing? I got a little carried away on the snowballing. Carol, if you're out there, I'll see you here tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock. Looking forward to it. I have Mary's quilt to finish, her graduation quilt. I have a mystery quilt, another mystery quilt to finish. And we'll have plenty to do, that's for sure. Okay, let's turn that on. Okay. So there is the first posy block. Fun, fun, fun. And I bet I took, I took my seam ripper too. Oh, that's another thing I did today. I had to, oh, no, here's my seam ripper. I did a king size quilt, and on the back, on king size quilts, on the big long arm, the gamma long arm, it's really important to keep the back as flat as you can, along with the batting in the front. Well, on the back, at one point, I didn't keep the backing completely straight, so there was some, it was about 1.5 feet of a pucker. So I had to use my seam rippers. I took it off the frame, I undid it, and then I redid it. Whew. It's hot here in America. Wendy, if you're out there, I am loving your pictures. Wendy Down Under has been going to the beach and looks beautiful. I love to see all of your pictures. Norma and Marquet continue to be out there, as do so many of you. Sandra Cuban. Who's been watching Penguin and Fish? I just love that, what she does. I also like the crochet guys. They make me laugh. They've been doing some things on their computer, and they're giggling, they're making each other laugh. Neither of them had been to New York, and they were creating a brochure for a crochet trip in New York City, which cracked me up. Well, it didn't crack me up, made me laugh. In other breaking news, I saw that Bill Murray is now selling golf wear. Can't make that up. He goes from Caddyshack, repeating his same day, looking for a gopher on the golf course early in his career, to selling golf clothing. So it turns out I'm not going to spin these seams. I'm just keeping, the seams were going back and forth, so I'm just keeping them nice. Well, maybe I'll do this middle one. Oh, Sue Norton, happy birthday. Oh, I should have started with that right off the bat. And happy birthday to everyone else out there. We should have like birthday, like once a month we should have a birthday cake. I'll sit here and eat it. What are we, do you dare even think about what next after the mystery? I have to tell you, I'm going to give you all a break. And we're not going to jump into another mystery quilt right away, thankfully, right? How pretty is that one? I'm going to make a couple of patriotic dolls. And I'm making them from a Gail Wilson kit that Kathy Plant from my doll club gave us. She brought up from North Carolina, South Carolina, one of the two Carolinas. She came to our last Textile Tarts meeting. And she brought 8 or so Gail Wilson kits, and we got to pick. And mine is a patriotic dolls. They're only 8 inches tall. I think it's a boy and a girl. So that is what I think I'm going to do. So we are going to put down the quilting tools, at least for a show or two. So you do the same thing. I'd love to see be reminded of what we made. See, these two are maps, so I don't want those right next to each other. Make sure there's another map. So I could go there. Some white. Oh, I like that. Okay. See how that and that, I don't know if you can tell, that and that are awfully similar. So I'm going to do that and that. Okay, who's out there? Let's see. We've talked about Aunt Anne's quilt. We've talked about clue number 8, which we're doing right now. Raffle quilt. I think I mentioned last week or the week before that the Marathon Quilt Guild here in Hopkinton, Massachusetts is making a raffle quilt. And we're going to have it done by this fall so that we can start to raise money for a scholarship for a maker here in the local area. And I'll tell you more about the scholarship. But first we have to make the quilt. And so we had our first group get together this Wednesday. We cut out, well, we're using Tula Pink fabrics and Kona White. And do you believe I don't have the picture of it yet again, but next week I'll show you the actual, or at some point I'll show you the actual design. But it's made out of these half square triangles. And so what we did was we cut out 440 of these, and everyone took home 20, 30, or 40. Sarah Kokanowski, you're a rock star. You took home 40. Everyone else, thank you so much for all your contributions. Lima took 3. I think Nancy took several. It doesn't matter how many, but because many hands make very light work. But we are on our way to making this really cool. It's going to be modern and bright quilt using Tula Pink's latest collection, from Pinkerville. And I don't have all of them here. I just have what was in my bag. Isn't that pretty? And I have 2 minky backings to choose from. I wanted to show you the luscious colors we have to choose from. We have either this lavender purple or teal from fabric.com. I highly recommend fabric.com. And so this, we need to pick which one we'll have on the back. And then, of course, we're going to have to make another quilt to go with the other backing. That's what happens. I know my mom is home shaking her head. Anywho, that's the progress on the raffle quilt. I believe Jean and her lock block ruler are available, and her skill are available to help us trim these down. So we're all set off to make these. They come back, let's see what size they come back at. They started out at 5 inches by 5 inches. And they're coming back at 4.5, which makes sense. A little bit bigger than 4.5. And then we're going to trim them down to 4. And they will be perfect. So I just wanted to give you that update. Again, we're getting together again in the middle of July. And then I will quilt it in August. And then come September, we will be ready to rock and roll. And it's just, we cut this out within an hour. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 7 of us. It worked great. So that's fun. That's a good old-fashioned quilting bee, right? All of us are so busy these days. It's hard to make time just to get together and do something together, whether it's cooking or having a chili making contest. A random idea, but you know what I mean. Oops, almost got that wrong. So double check your placement and make sure you have all of the reds in the middle, and then reds on the outside and blues on the outside. Okay. Oh, and let's do our leader here. Oh, before I get into vintage postcards, which is my next topic, I went and over to the studio on the hill over in Holliston, and I worked with a couple of women from Essentia who came up to work on their quilt with Becky. And I have to tell you, they were amazing. This was their second or third time. They both finished up quilts and walked home with them. And these were good size quilts. In fact, I have pictures. Good size quilts that they made all on their own. I never know if it transfers over to my iPad but it looks like it has. They're loading up. There's one of them. Isn't that fun? So that's Vonia and Juanita. And then I took several of them. I was so proud of them. But oh, and here's the other one, and there's Becky. Isn't that great? And they walked home with them, and the binding was so smart. Well, first off, to put it all together, they used spray adhesive on both sides of the batting, and they used the wall to put the quilt onto the batting. So let me play that out for you. They put a sheet on the ground, and they put the piece of batting down on that sheet, and they sprayed the whole one side of the batting with their spray adhesive. Then they picked up the batting, which was really sticky, and they brought it over and put the non-sticky side up against their flannel wall, and they put it there. Then they took their quilt top and they put it onto the sticky side up on the wall, and then they smoothed it all out, and it stayed. It was amazing. Then they took the whole thing off and brought it back over to the sheet that was on the floor. They put the quilt top down so that you saw the other side of the batting. They sprayed the other side of the batting with adhesive, and then they put the backing. Did they bring it back over? Yeah, I think they then brought it back over to here, and then they put the batting on it. And then they were able to, they made a few pins, and then they took it right to the machine and stitched in the ditch, and it was beautiful. So that was really cool. Let's see. 1, 2. This was an extra. Oh, no, this one was right here. So what reminded me of that? Oh, I know what reminded me of that. I was thinking of the machine and our leader enders. Oh, I'm going to do that, though. Studio on the Hill has Elmas. And I like those Elmas, too. So I was pleasantly surprised. They have the automatic cut. They have lots of different stitches. What they don't have, I don't think, pretty sure they don't have, is this automatic up and down of the presser foot. So for a while there, I'd be sitting there and I'd be pushing on the foot pedal, and it would be beeping at me saying I can't go. I had to use the old-fashioned lever to go down in the back. That made me laugh. Okay. Anyway, I'm just so thankful that you're all out there sewing along. I hope that you're sending me emails and pictures. Do you believe I've not gotten to that yet? You probably do. Sorry about that. I keep getting I distract myself, which is not very encouraging. Yay! Hi, everyone. Okay, Anne. Hi, Anne. She says, Hi, Lynn and all FiberCasters. Ann is over in, I can't wait to show you this. She's over in Guernsey. She says, I'm having fun this evening putting the blocks together. 10 completed so far, she says. She hopes everyone is having as much fun as I am. Wasn't sure about the piece neutral blocks, but I think they are looking okay. I think they're looking awesome. They're looking better than okay. She says, I've also added a picture of Taya, my now 1-year-old granddaughter. Many of you will remember she was born prematurely, 2 months early, but has turned into such a little cutie. And I'd like to thank all of you again for all of your kind wishes and prayers you gave us when she was born. Oh my goodness. Oh, I cannot wait to show you guys. So first off, look at her blocks. Anne is using purples and greens along with her neutrals. I love that, Anne. And then look at this precious, precious little girl. She's beautiful. Look at those eyes. Oh, and she's sitting up so big and tall. Oh, she's going to need a jumper, isn't she? I bet you've already made her one. Leah. Hi, Leah. I forgot about yours. I love seeing your pictures. Leah says, happy Friday. She says, hi to Lynn and all the FiberCasters. She's been working on the flying geese units today. Now just enjoying watching. And she hopes everyone has a great weekend. Leah. Oh, I hope you do too. I hope your children are well. That son of yours is that very accomplished son. Is he down in San Francisco now? Working in a big job? If I'm remembering right. Anyway, so nice to have you out there. You're reminding me, don't forget, for anyone who wants me to machine quilt their mystery quilt, batting is on me. I'm giving you the batting. So think of that as another incentive. Okay. Sue, first day of summer, her birthday. Sue Norton out in Chicago, AKA Dear Jane, almost completed. Oh, she sent me Dear Jane. I was kind of kidding. Killing me. Okay, Sue says, happy Friday, Lynn. Sorry I'm not working on your mystery quilt this time. I understand. Just not enough time these days. I'm still plugging away at Dear Jane, she says. Below is my latest block. She says, oh, Dear Jane has some evil small piece blocks. I had to hand stitch this one. And I saw you used Mickey Dupre's system. I've never done that before. So if anyone out there, and I think you liked it, right? Even though these pieces are very small. So for anyone out there, look up Mickey Dupre, MD Quilts, I think is what she's under. It looks great, Sue. When you think about it, look at, she put the dime there for scale. Those squares in the corner, like in there, are the size of a dime. Yikes. And how ironic. It's called simplicity. Sure it is. Sue, I'm psyched you're out there. Oh, yeah. Oh, so she shows us this. She had to do it all by hand. Thank you for sending these, Sue. Look at that. In the middle is even... You do a beautiful job. Wow. Very nice. And the pictures of your flowers are just beautiful. Oh, I must say, did you see my flowers here, Sue? It has been raining like crazy. So I went out just before FiberCast and I picked up some flowers just to have some color, and maybe they're going to go bad fast, I think, because they're waterlogged. But they sure do look pretty when they're fresh, don't they? And they smell, the yellow rose smells. Carol, also across the pond, she says, webbing tonight. Hi, Lynn and FiberCaster, says Carol Bell. She says, hope you've all had a good week. She says, I'm busy webbing Clue 8 tonight and using one block as a leader and ender for the next. You are so smart. In the hope that I can get them all done this weekend. She says, I've been very busy at work lately and have not been sewing much during the week. Carol is working in accounting, and she said she was carrying, I think you were carrying the load for multiple people. So I hope that that's stopping sometime soon. And I love these. Look at that. That looks great. I really, really, really do like the scrappy neutral. So who's curious? Are you curious what this is all going to look like? You probably can figure it out pretty much by now. For those of you who might not have been looking at the mystery, you better subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss another mystery in our future. We do them usually in the spring and the fall, but we've made these. What is it? 56 of these. We have made 21 of these. Those were doozies, right? Because we had to make all of our flying geese. We had to make our blues in the middle. This was a big, long mystery. So yes, KB, I know today was a fine time to tell you could have made 2 small ones. But then again, you're going to be so happy with me, I think, that you stuck with it. And then, like I say, we're going to take a break on the summer. Although if you have quilts that you need to be quilted, please send them my way. I'd be happy to do it for you. I'm trying to figure out the best way to get the word out there about my quilting services. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. I've done Facebook a couple of times. I'm trying to think. I've got a few irons in the fire with other companies, so stay tuned on that. I might do some sort of a referral program, I was thinking. That might be a... Okay. There's that. We are making progress. Okay. So do one more. See how fast this goes? Carol and Ann across the pond have both, they're up to 8, 10. It goes fast. I think Allie is on another cruise, so she'll have to do it when she gets back. But she's so fast, she will do it like nothing. KB, I'm sure, is motoring along. Maria. I saw a picture of Miss Jean on Romper Room. In fact, I think I saved it. Remember Miss Jean on Romper Room? I finally found a picture of her. And I saved it because, yep, there she is. You'll enjoy Romper Room with Miss Jean. Do you remember Miss Jean? There she is. WHDH TV5. That was 30, 40 years ago. Yikes. Okay. So there we go. Just ready to web the other way. Something else. So let's go look at our list of what we wanted to talk about. Vintage postcards. Not just all vintage postcards. I wanted to share with you one type of vintage postcard that I found over at the Northborough Library. Oh, Sue and Pat, if you're out there, hi, and everyone at Textile Tarts. And I apologize, I'm forgetting the woman's name from this morning, the woman who messaged my sister or the group and asked about the doll hospital. There is a doll hospital here in Hopkinton. I'm not quite sure where you're located, but I do know that I sent you the name Jenny's Dolls Hospital. I sent you her email, and she's going to be giving a talk at our senior center later in July that I'm going to go to and say hello to her and introduce myself. So hopefully that gives you something. This woman had a couple of Madame Alexander dolls that she wants to fix up for her family. Anyway, when I was over in Northborough the last time, there was this set of, on the giveaway table, a set of postcards in a book. And they're called Stitched Up postcards. 31 postcards from knitting pattern hell. What? I remember that, Poncho. That was pretty. Let me read you the back, and then I'll show you a few of these examples. It says, were you ever the victim of a cruel knitting pattern experiment as a child? Now, I must admit, I never was. This would be me making things for others. So I'd be the one imposing this. Or even worse, as an adult, did you ever have a grandmother who planned to take over the world by smothering it in crochet? I didn't, but again, I would crochet. Well, Stitched Up sends you postcards from victims forever trapped in this dead zone of drop stitches. Families doomed to walk the earth in matching pullovers. Young women trapped in floor-length cardigan dresses, tank tops that look like placemats, balaclavas, which I don't even know what those are, designed for the catwalk, and that blight of a generation that can not speak its name, the hooded poncho. Help relieve a secret sufferer with this handy self-help kit. It's good to know you weren't the worst. Anyway, I just wanted to share some of these retro looks, and I like some of them. What's so bad with that? Or that? Those are lovely hats. What's wrong with that? Nice, nice. Handsome dudes. I've already used some of these. And I'm only going to show you a few because I want to use some of them. But isn't that cute? Matching patterns. Anyway, this is quite funny. Vintage postcards. Oh, and the worst thing is, or the joke ultimately was on me. I went to send a few of these, and our U.S. Postal Service says these cards are too big. They were going to charge me for a letter stamp. So I brought them home, and I used my cutter. I had to cut off like a ½ an inch on both sides so that they would fit. Oh, isn't that funny? So that's all I had on those vintage postcards. And my question to you is, do you have any old postcards or old stationery that you could pull out and send to a friend and surprise them just for no reason at all? Just to say hi? Just an idea. Oh, that's right. I also wanted to talk about beads. Do you remember last week I said I was going to try and make a beaded rope? Well, look at that, it's even falling apart. After much trial and error, I figured out how to make this. It's the crocheted beaded rope. The pattern didn't work out right, and there are definitely mistakes, but I persevered and I made it big enough so I could just scooch it over like that. And I'm kind of proud of it, and it's fun to wear. But of course, I keep obsessing over it because it didn't come out good, really. It's really not that good. So I have been in search of, and the reason it's not good, aside from the learning curve and me learning how to crochet beads, is the beads themselves came from multiple sources, and they're not the right consistent size. They're different shapes. They're just, I want perfectly symmetric, perfect beads. And what I'm learning is, well, what I know so far, and I'm open to anyone's recommendations, is Miyuki and Toho are brands of Japanese beads that are supposed to be pretty consistent. I've decided I want size 11 beads. 8 are too big and 15 are too small, the delicas. They're seed beads. and I just want them all to be consistent. So I have a little more to the story. And basically, the bottom line is beads, like scraps of fabric, beads multiply. And I'm going to show you. I have show and tell. So the last time I was at my sister's house, I asked her if she had any beads because I was making the beaded faces for the dolls. And she brought out a box full. And they're beautiful. Lots of different colors, whites, pinks. She'd been making snowflakes, so they were Christmas colors. Let's see, I'm going to pull these out because these are ones that I just bought. Okay, so there. And these are ordered. Some of them are Blue Moon beads, some are Mainstay. I don't even know what kinds those are, right? But they look beautiful. And I bet these are. I'm learning that. I mean, some of them are beautiful, but some of them are not. Some of them are misshapen, or they're supposed to be all the same size, but they're not. Okay. Then, so I had that, but that didn't quite do it. And I was thinking this whole freedom theme and patriot theme. So I went to look at my beads. And I had a couple of boxes. Remember, Mom, we brought these boxes to the last Textile Tarts meeting. And I have some of the same Joann fabric beads. I think I probably have some Blue Moon beads that I had bought at Joann Fabrics. And I put like these blue ones, you know, they come in the little bags, and I put them into 2 boxes. And then, I had some of these, but then I went and bought a bunch of Delicas. That was a couple of weeks ago to make my faces of my dolls. In the end, let's see. So last weekend, I found some red and some white, but I didn't have blue. So I went and bought blue at Joann Fabrics with a coupon. And I had my red, and I had, like I say, I did it. I struggled, but I figured out I got the right thread. It wasn't quite the right color. See, and these. Oh, and then I cleaned out my closet and my jewelry drawer, and I had a couple of bead bracelets that I broke apart, honest to God, that I had made 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. And I salvaged some beads that I thought were going to be great. And they're good quality beads. But they weren't the colors that I wanted. Right? So now we have this. That was as of a few days ago. And then it poured rain. And I think I had done my raffle quilt. I think I did this maybe yesterday. I can't even remember. Anyway, I went out in search of yet more beads. And I found Miyuki white beads that are beautiful. And the shop also had red and blue, because I want to do another red, white, and blue rope crochet that looks good, right? These looked good to my eyes. She said, Miyuki, they're all Miyuki. They're the best you can buy. Well, only one of them is labeled Miyuki, and those are good. Come to find out, unfortunately, I've tried these with this, and I am now, and it's downstairs, I have another one of these going, and they don't all match. So the saga continues. What started out as 1 box of beads is now a tower of beads, and that's just proof that no matter what you do, beads are like scraps of fabric. They just plain multiply. You can never get rid of them. Oh, look, here's more. See, these are beautiful. These are Miyuki Rope Kales. Matte Blue Iris 15s from Sarapan. Now, that's a bead shop that I found here. These are the tiniest little things, 15s. If you just for kicks, look up 15 Delica seed beads. I bet they are 1 millimeter. They're tiny. Most needles don't even fit through the hole. Okay. let's finish this up. And then I think, speaking of red, white, and blue braided bracelets, yeah, we're just going to wrap up with a poem about freedom. So while I do one more seam, be thinking about what freedom means to you, to your family, to your children, your parents, your loved ones. Has it changed over time? It can apply to all parts of your life, right? Could literally be from terrible situations of being held against your will and then being free, of being incarcerated and then being free to go live your life, of being unencumbered with obstacles that life is messy. You can't plan it. You can try and plan it, you can give it some boundaries, but a lot of it really, life happens to you. Sure, you make choices. But then some of it's left to whatever you think the forces are out there. Nature, God. Oh, I ran out of bobbin thread, but I don't need it anymore. I can just wax on about freedom. Or for me, these last couple of months, freedom has been freedom from a day-to-day 9-to-5 job. So it's been great. It's been great. But it's different. So with that, but really most importantly, freedom to me right now in this time of year, given Memorial Day and the 4th of July, really is all about, and what's happening over in Iran, literally as we speak, hopefully nothing. We're just so fortunate to have people that are willing to sacrifice themselves to give us the life we have and the ability to do things we love. Okay, so I went online right before the show started. I'm sorry about my hair. It's really hot here in the summer. And I looked for poems about freedom. I didn't do a whole lot of homework. I ended up on famouspoetsandpoems.com. And this is what I landed on. There were a couple by Robert Frost, which maybe I'll go read. None of them spoke to me exactly, but this was one that I could somewhat understand and I wanted to share with you, sort of to give you something to think about as you go into the final week of this mystery quilt. The poem is called Freedom by George William Russell. I will not follow you, my bird. I will not follow you. I would not breathe a word, my bird, to bring thee here anew. I love the free in thee, my bird. The lure of freedom drew. The light you fly toward, my bird, I fly with thee unto. And there we yet will meet, my bird, though far I go from you, wherein the light outpoured, my bird, are love and freedom too. Again, that is on famouspoetsandpoems.com. It's called Freedom, and it was by George William Russell. So with that, we have done a couple of posy squares. Keep on going, Carol and Anne and KB and everyone out there who's sewing, whatever you're doing, Sue doing your Dear Jane. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great weekend. Happy summer solstice, and I will see you back here next Friday night for the full reveal. I can't wait. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Bye.